I'm here with Dad Man. 2 documentaries I want to talk about. Second one you've seen, but the first you probably have never heard of, you have no idea about. It's called GAEA Girls. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's Japanese, GAEA. And then
Geisha.
Not geisha. Because that's like a Japanese like silent performer or something.
Yeah. Female.
Right.
Living art, they call them.
That's cool. And then the last game, which is for football fans. It's a mashup of my 2, I don't know, maybe like most intense hobbies or like interests.
The first one?
Oh, so yeah, I didn't even explain. So GAEA Girls is extremely intense look at, they call them Joshi, which is Japanese female professional wrestlers.
Okay.
And GAEA is the name of the promotion. So like WWE is a promotion, WCW was a promotion.
Right, okay.
GAEA, which is GAEA, was this, I think, all-female wrestling promotion. And the documentarian, which was a Japanese guy and like a female documentarian who's, I think, an English-speaking and like fairly well renowned. I haven't seen any of her shit, but
right.
She has some well rated. They follow it's a training camp / what we would call a wrestling school in America. So like Killer Kowalski had a wrestling school where Triple H went to learn.
Yeah. They had one. Didn't they have one called? Didn't WCW have one called the
Power Plant?
Power Plant. Yeah.
Yeah, and
they showed that a few times. Because WCW, when they got fairly popular, they started like branching out into the other, like their training camp and recruiting and all that kind of stuff.
Well, if you can grow homegrown talent, that's such a big thing. I mean, WCW was big enough to where they could just lure people from WWE over.
Yeah.
But that, to a certain extent, like that, you can't do that forever. And Goldberg,
you can't do it indefinitely, and it's expensive.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you have to pay top dollar.
Right.
Instead, it's like you might get 3 years out of a talent that you established.
Right.
And it's minimal investment too if they never pan out.
Right.
Because I don't know how it was working with this GAEA Girls, but for most schools you either pay or like Mick Foley, he went to, I don't remember his exact name. It's like an Italian name. It's I think it's like Pat Nagaducci or Donacati or something like that, but not exactly that. I'll put it up. He didn't pay because he was broke as hell.
Right.
But he was one of the most dedicated, in which is proved by his career.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for them, if they pay, great. But even if they don't, it's an opportunity for the company.
Well, this guy was kind of doing it out of the kindness of his heart because he didn't have a direct. He wasn't a direct pipeline for WWE. Like he was like
an independent school.
Yeah, which is actually generally how it's done.
Yeah.
Well, it's a solid mix. So, for example, I'm a huge Bret the Hitman Hart fan. Stu the Dungeon was where he would they would go there. I think Roddy Piper is an example of that.
That was just his basement, wasn't it?
Yeah. But then I don't know when they added it, but they did have a ring in their yard. But that's because Stu Hart was the owner of Stampede Wrestling, which is...
Oh, it was a promotion.
Was a promotion itself.
Canadian one, right?
Yeah. In Manitoba, Canada, I guess. Yeah. Wherever, Calgary, Manitoba area. So I'm not familiar with Canada, but if you are, you know where Stampede is. Anywho, Stu Hart's style of... Which, if you've seen Wrestling with Shadows, you get a very good example. Like, indication of how brutal it was, because even as like a 70-year-old, he's taking these huge 20-year-olds and just making them fucking scream for their life.
Yeah, you'd put them in holds.
Yeah. It wasn't quite that with the GAEA girls, but it was very intense and brutal. So some of the standout events that happened from this, one was I was like impressed with the wrestling. Okay. This isn't like 2000s, early 2000s WWE divas type wrestling where it's like they're just big boobs and dressed. Maybe a few moves. Right. Like this is girls who are wrestling maybe a tier, like a half tier below Bret Hart. Like,
well, they take it more. They're more serious in Japan about wrestling.
Very much so. Yes.
I mean, it's choreographed.
They know it's not real, but they treat it with the reverence of a sport.
Yes. And, which it's not technically a sport. I mean, it's kind of an exhibition type thing. But I mean, if it's done well, it's super impressive. You know, I mean, they get legitimate injuries and they do very dangerous stuff. You know.
Yeah, and like that's always the knock is it's like, oh, it's predetermined or it's fake, which is not the right thing to call it because, like you said, I mean, for these people, I mean, you could wrestle a year. You're still on the road almost the entire year.
Oh, that's brutal.
You're never fucking home.
Like, I don't even know why people do it. I don't.
You just grow up loving it.
Yeah, I mean, I see that. I mean, you're in front of crowds. You know, some people just love that. And they're not like they're an actor, but, you know, they're a physical,
physical actor of sorts.
Yeah. So, I mean, I could see
and you're an athlete, too.
Yeah. I mean, so all the trappings of a certain level of fame you get.
Yeah.
Although it's,
especially, I mean, if you ascend to the highest level.
Yeah.
You could be. I mean, maybe it's just because I'm so into wrestling. I would have to think Hulk Hogan is within maybe the top 20 or 50 most recognizable names for the 80s. If you were to take that time period.
Oh. Top 20.
Yeah.
For the 80s.
Because, like, he turned into a megastar.
Yeah.
And that's, like, only one person a decade is going to ascend to those heights, but...
Yeah.
Maybe two if you're really lucky.
The thing about him is one movie just sparked the whole thing.
Oh, Rocky 3, right?
I don't know if it was 2 or 3, but that's
what
it was.
I don't remember. I might be
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Just that.
Thunder
that
Lips.
Exposure.
And he wasn't in the WWF at that time. He was with AWA. And they just did not... Vern Gagne was the owner of the AWA and just didn't capitalize. And I think he was... I think he even threatened him. He was like, if you take that movie, you're done here.
Okay.
And he did the movie, and I think they were kind of... Hulk was... For as much credit as he gives himself, that's false.
Yeah.
He had I think he had enough smarts to realize, like, why the fuck wouldn't we take advantage of this?
Oh my god!
Like, I have name recognition. Yes. I'm in one of the hottest movie franchises.
Movie, for crying out loud!
Yeah, I mean, and clearly Vince McMahon, who was now in a lot of hot water, but that's a different story.
What's he in hot water?
So he had an employee that he hired who was not... She had no qualifications, and she was basically hired as like a sexual pawn.
For the wrestlers?
For him and the wrestlers.
Okay.
And he did very demeaning stuff, and she's suing for the humiliation and all that. It's really tricky legally, but morally it's kind of like an abuse of power, you know?
Well, it's sexual harassment.
Yeah. So, like, one of the big things is, and I think it has came out or was like found out. I think someone told me it was in Brock Lesnar's contract that she do services for him.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it was written, but I think Vince told him that,
Okay.
whatever. If you know him, you know that he is definitely morally questionable, and it only slightly changes the way I look at him, whereas I think with some people it's like probably turned their world upside down. I just think I was fairly...
You must not have known him very well if that's the case. I mean, that doesn't surprise me really at all.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little more than, what I kind of expected from him.
Yeah.
But I mean, there had to be all kind of just crazy shenanigans. I don't want to call it shenanigans, but going on in that thing for the last 50 years.
Because it was even into the 90s, like, you think about the shit they were literally putting on television.
Yeah.
If you have... I don't know how to say it, but it's like you get a taste of, if you're willing to let some of the shit slide that they let slide, it's like it's like, hey, money over everything. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
If we have to burn a nun on television, to
we
proper
get away
rating,
with it, and people will dig it, we'll do it.
Which that informs you a ton just about the corporate culture from the top. If he's on screen doing shit that's pushing the line.
Yeah.
So, whatever. But getting to like some of the very interesting parts of GAEA Girls is, like I said, really, really good technical wrestling from the pros within the camp. And the girl who's like the main trainee that goes on to become pro.
Yeah.
I was really impressed. Even her like debut match in front of a crowd was really good, like impressive.
I mean,
I'll have to hook you up with it. It's incredibly hard to find. I found it on a site called the internetarchive.org, so check it out. If you don't know where to find it, it is there. I'll try to hook you up with it. It is in Japanese. Clearly, they don't speak English for just this film.
Okay, well, yeah, for this I would don't necessarily have to.
And
subtitles? Or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They're brutal with this main chick. And they'll have other people come to the school, and they get exercised to crap. They'll do like hundreds of squats, runs, which probably contributes to them quitting, but they always quit after they see how rough they are with the girl who's at the end of her stint, where it's like, hey, like, you have to audition, for lack of a better term, and if you don't get it, you're out. So she fails the first audition, but in lead up to that, she's practicing with one of the pros. And she's drop kicking her too soft. Okay. Which we know it's choreographed.
Yeah.
You want to make it look good, but you also don't want to take someone's...
You don't kill them.
And the chick, no sells, which is in wrestling terms, is when you act like it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt, but you're supposed to act like it hurts normally. But if you just don't act, you're no selling the move.
Yeah.
She no sells and then comes off the ropes and drop kicks her in the face and fucking blasts her in the face with the drop kick. And you kind of hear like her teeth or something in her face.
Flesh.
Yeah, like her jaw gets knocked and her teeth clank together. And she had to get stitches. She's like pouring blood from her mouth. And the girl is like giving her a hard time after that. But now that blood's pouring out of her mouth, she kind of realized like, oh fuck, I like really nailed her. Yeah. Then she has to like audition. Doesn't get it. This big butch Japanese wrestler who's like a main eventer. She's like the head of the school.
Yeah.
Not the marketing person or like the administrative person, but the face that sells the She's like slapping her in the back of the head and knocking her on the head when she's telling her off, like, you don't want it enough, you're not taking this serious, your cries are like your tears are false tears. Yeah. She is definitely really upset. She's not fake crying. And then she gets a second tryout, which I'm very happy for because she was good.
Yeah.
And that Butch girl is her final match of the tryout.
Okay.
The first one, she did like 5 matches that are like breakneck pace.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, dude, the fucking gas tank on this chick is insane.
Yeah.
The other one, she did 4, but the 4th match was with this chick.
Yeah.
And she punched her in the face twice really fucking hard.
Who punched who?
The Butch chick.
Okay.
And then she is slapping her afterwards. She's like, tell me what you really want to say to me. And the girl like refuses, probably like, I don't want to get punched anymore. But they accept her afterwards. So all this suffering.
She's just like Navy SEAL training or something.
I know. And the girl went on to have a 1-year career as in the GAEA Girls promotion. So I don't know what the fuck she did afterwards. I don't think she ever wrestled anywhere again. Which again is a shame because like I was thinking to myself, like she would be a better wrestler than 99% of the girls in America at that time, especially. And like it would be, you just have a manager. I mean, fuck it, you know?
But I don't think they're looking for the technical abilities in American female wrestling.
It just doesn't sell as much. Like I don't know. I'm not a ticket buyer either. I'm too broke, so subscribe and give us money.
Don't feel guilty, just contribute.
Next movie, The Last Game, high school football. If you like that,
you'll love this.
Yeah, I think so. It was
a documentary, but it was almost like it was like
a home film.
Well, it was a fictional film, that had the right ending and stuff. The one that you would want, where they last season for a coach, you want to go out on top, and and it kind of played out that way.
Yeah, they just got lucky. So a team, they won 2 state titles in a row, and this year they're going after their 3rd. The coach is contemplating retirement. He does decide in the midst of playoffs he will retire, regardless of outcome. His son is also a coach who they end up playing in the regular season and the playoffs, which was very dramatic because those were his closest games, minus like, I don't know if it was the title game or the game before the title game, but the one they ended up with a blocked punt that they needed to win. That was pivotal.
They coached that even, as I remember.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's just like to catch that on film.
Yeah. Wasn't there one running back like a tank?
He was fucking big, huge.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't give his measurements, so you have to kind of gauge off of other people. He played fullback. I would imagine he was probably about my size, but ran like much faster. He was probably like
but you're
6
big for a high school player.
Yeah, he's probably like 6'2", 240, and his traps were fucking huge.
Yeah,
and his thighs were probably huge too.
And he was a fullback, but probably he ran the ball a lot.
Yeah, well, because they ran like an Army / Georgia Tech style offense, which I think is a wing T.
Oh, they ran a wing. Okay, yeah.
And so the fullback is the
primary.
Yeah, that's the only guy in the backfield unless you do like a weird wing T set. So it's quarterback, fullbacks, only one in the backfield, and then you got your wing backs, left and right, who are behind.
I don't think that's the.
Okay, well that is what Georgia Tech runs. There's
one where you got a fullback and then you have an offset to the left or right. at the same parallel.
Oh,
not parallel, but
yeah.
in line, and then you have a wing back. And there's a
Okay.
ton of
Variations of
Yeah.
that. Yeah, yeah. Um,
It's all
I'm gonna
a
look
ton
it
of
up.
misdirection.
Yeah, well, because you can do triple option like 20 different ways.
Well, you bring the wing in. Yeah, right. You bring the wing in motion.
Mhm.
You almost always bring one of those guys in motion
Around back.
and then they're basically
in an I formation.
yeah.
Yeah. But you and they ran they had a lot of motion. Sometimes they would bring wing back and tight end would flood a side of the field, so it's like you're in a total mismatch unless your defense can slide appropriately right before the snap, which I fucking love that.
Yeah.
I love run heavy offenses.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, we've got football's got way from that. High school still.
It's now you'll see 18 teams that are running out of shotgun. I mean, if you see 2 that are running under center, like that's crazy.
Yeah.
In a game, it's just super super uncommon to have under center, and you don't get a lot of, which I think is super stupid because you're making the quarterback's job really hard. I know it seems as though it'd be easier because it's spread. You're gonna get one-on-ones. You could just maybe key on a guy and just this is my primary option. She's gonna get open eventually because it's a one-on-one.
But they don't have the accuracy.
They're getting better. They are, because you gotta be good.
Slowly getting better, yeah. But yeah,
Whereas if you're under center and you just run a play action heavy off, well, you're gonna run more if you're under center. I mean, you'd be stupid not to.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, you can. Because you run more.
Your running back's getting a running start into the hole,
which is way better.
Yeah, in shotgun, you're coming from a dead stop and you're just getting the ball.
Yeah,
which they're spread out so the box can't be loaded, but you're not hitting the hole as hard.
Right.
But if you do, then you do play action more. It just makes sense. It's like you have to have, anytime you do a motion, there should be a play that starts out with that same motion that's not that play. Because otherwise you watch film and it's like,
oh, as soon as you see it,
it's like, oh, they're running this play.
Yeah.
So that's why play action is so awesome, because that's the same action. He's doing it like you're gonna hand off off the tackle.
Yeah.
And then rolls out and they fall for that play. It's gonna be wide open.
Right.
They can't just key on. I don't know. I'm giving away football philosophy on a movie.
I mean, he was an older guy. His wife had.
He was a Villanova running back.
Okay.
He had a Pitt All-American nose tackle who was he ended up being the coach after he retired.
Okay.
His son was a University of Virginia, ACC, pretty well-renowned school, cornerback who ended up going on to become the Browns head coach, in 2014 and 2015, which was a decade and a half after the documentary, but impressive for someone who was a
high school head coach.
Yeah.
Somebody else did that.
Went straight high school to
Somebody
pro.
Went straight high school to pro. It was only one time I remember.
It's just weird,
Cincinnati Moeller, maybe you were from.
Yeah. Well, there's a very famous school in Cleveland that I think the famous Cleveland coach was from, Paul Brown.
Oh, no, after that. But,
oh.
I mean,
I don't know how he started. Maybe he did that.
Yeah. No, this guy was. Oh, it doesn't matter. But anyway, this is a very, very, a very good coach, great program. They had all their, they just knew what they were doing,
Yeah.
And they coached the small details as well as, overall good philosophy. And
It's like, it is crazy, like, because even though, some of the characteristics you come away with are that, kind of like the GAEA Girls one, will pound in the details.
Yeah.
Like they're strict, but the players were like talking back to them a lot too.
Yeah.
Which I guess is just, you're gonna have that in that day and age. The one thing that was very surprising, so they're a PA school, both the son and the fathers.
Pennsylvania.
The fullback, who was certified freak and a bona fide stud, ended up going to Pitt. He was the number one fullback in the entire nation, which is generally not a big deal, but he was a fullback that got used like a halfback. He's a power back. Yeah, just a power running back. He got offers from Iowa, all these places, commits to Pitt, and quits the team after a year.
Not surprising. Because
you could tell there was a little bit of some ego and just it got to his head for sure. Yeah. So ego, and made him a little bit harder to coach. And they probably had 20 guys who were faster, who were about as hard to tackle, and they're like, fuck that. You're nobody here, bud. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, he sounds like he was highly regarded and would have been.
He had 5 touchdowns in the state title prior to the year of filming. Okay. I don't know if you picked up on that.
I don't know if I recall that.
They were just showing highlights, and I heard one of the sound bites, but they're like, his name was Dustin Picciotti or Picciotti. Okay. Dustin Picciotti. They're like, he's in for his 5th of the game, state title.
Wow.
And the motherfucker ran for 5 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like shit that Earl Campbell would have done.
Yes. Yeah.
But
legendary.
Yeah. I liked GAEA Girls more than the last game, if I'm being honest.
You're weird.
I am very weird. It's another super obscure one. I saw it on YouTube, and I don't know if the YouTube channel that uploaded it did some weird editing shit, or if it was just like kind of unprofessionally edited in reality. I think it was the YouTube channel, because we had the DVD. That's why I knew to watch it again.
Okay.
And I maybe as a kid I wouldn't have remembered it, but I think you definitely would have known. There was stuff where
CD or
DVD. The only reason I know that
DVD
had to be you or mom or something.
But I've never heard of it.
But you've watched it. That was a TV movie. Like, the odds of us watching that would have been obscure.
Okay, all right.
I remember the DVD box cover thing too.
All right, maybe, I don't know.
But I would recommend both. GAEA Girls, obviously, if you like wrestling. Last Game, if you like football, and if you like both, check them both out. But GAEA Girls first. And Dadman will say The Last Game, but he hasn't seen GAEA Girls. So you can't take his word.
Probably, I haven't seen GAEA Girls. I bet you would be good, because it shows, the Japanese about certain things are just like so over the top.
Yeah.
And it'd probably be interesting to see that. And I like wrestling enough, but Last Game, obviously I liked very much. It was just
it's more eventful. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Because it's like, this guy's career's ending.
Yeah, they're built up. I mean, state title's a big deal. Now, back then, I don't know how... I mean, I think it's different now. I think there's more teams in the playoffs back then than there were back then.
Maybe. Like the state playoffs or playoffs as a whole?
Well, I mean, it all goes to the state level,
Yeah. Well, here's the weird thing. And I guess it probably would have had to be this way. You don't have to win your
conference
to make playoffs, But then, so your state has multiple, like not state playoffs. Like, what do you call it? Division, or is that the conference playoffs that you're talking about?
Well, conference is like there's 10 teams in your conference.
So there will be like Eastern Texas playoffs that you have to play in before states. Okay, and you can win that.
Okay.
But
then you'd play Western, right?
So you can come in like second in your district and qualify for state.
Okay.
Whereas I had always thought you have to win district and then state, but there's like a decent amount of.
Yeah.
It depends on your state.
At the very beginning of the playoffs, I mean, I remember I watched, there were teams that didn't even winning records.
I know.
And I'm like, what?
Well,
like
there was one.
When I played, you couldn't have a loss.
I know.
You had to go undefeated.
Right. It was probably really strict.
It was one per conference.
How big was your conference, though?
It's the same size as they are now.
Oh.
I mean, it's like 8 to 10 teams.
Well, even early 2000s, I mean, they were playing 15 games. I think now you probably play more if you go all the way to the state.
I mean...
Yeah. That's an NFL fucking schedule, bro.
Yeah, it's like a second schedule.
Yeah.
And harder.
You're playing like a regular season of a professional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A professional team that doesn't make playoffs.
Yeah.
Playoffs.
Exactly. Yeah. Jim Mora. We're big football fans here.
Yeah, we are.
So name 100 football players and then we'll end the episode.
Jim Brown.